Alright guys, welcome back. In this video we are going to add greedy matching now that we have match repeat done. So the key here is to realize that match repeat is a degenerate case of greedy matching. So if I did something like this, A4 is repetition, right? If I do A4, 8, then that is to match greedily at least 4, that must happen, and then an additional 4 to make a total of 8, right? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to subclass match repeat and extend it so that we can pass in another parameter, which by the way is why we have this min thing happening here. Okay? So let's just get to it. Let me come over here and you know what? The thing that's kind of bugging me, I'm actually going to do the first great refactoring, well, a refactoring. What am I doing? Add a folder, core. I want to move all of this stuff in there, and except for iMatch. And iMatch, well, yeah, okay, I'll leave it like that. .core. This is going to be the very official way to refactor all of these. Whoa. Match many base. Match repeat. Match single base. Alright. Match char does not implement interface member iMatch.match. Let's go ahead and put that in the core. Guess that's fair. And then we will get all of these. Regex lib.core. Okay, that builds successfully. Okay, so then that's going to let me do a couple other things that I want to do. Okay, I just want to rename this file here alternate. I'm going to shorten everything. And this is going to become, I screwed up my, my shortcuts for renaming. Char. So I know I started with context and I renamed it, and so I'm bouncing back and forth, but whatever. And rename, just like when everything's shorter. And the base classes I'll go ahead and leave like that, that's fine. Rename, repeat. Yes, I would. Let's build it. Everything succeeds. Random sample. Beautiful. Okay, so let me just run whatever we had last. Everything still works, so we'll call it good. Okay, so now let's get on with this business here. So repeat. Repeat's going to be where we start from. So let's add a new class like that. And this guy is going to be greedy. And a subclass of repeat. Generate a constructor here. So we're going to need a couple parameters. So in this case, it's going to be int min. And yes, I do in fact want to do that. Wait, what the hell? This is not working out, sorry. Min int max. And if they don't supply a maximum value, this is going to be optional, because they can have things like you know, a 3 or more times, right? If they don't actually explicitly give me a maximum, I'll just use int max value, which is just gigantic, and that will be how many you get. So the other thing that we're going to need is a variable to store this. So this will be public read-only int max. Now this is a very important point here. Note, max does not contain the parameter value. It actually contains the difference. So max is going to equal, this dot max is going to equal max minus min. This is actually the number of optional matches we're going to have. So if someone says a 2, 5, for example, then min equals 2 and max equals 3, right? It'll be the number that remain. And that'll work really well because min is already part of this base class, and we're going to let the base class stuff execute. And then we will, if that succeeds, we can override it and we will run up to this quote max, which is the additional 3 that need to be present. So the only other thing that I'll do is just kind of a usability thing, is I will make a public property int capital min, which maps to min, and I will make a public int capital M max, which maps to min plus max. Right, so there will be a way to recover the quote min and max that you really want if we need to look at it from the outside. But this is going to work well for us. Okay, after all that talking, let's get down to business. So this other thing I need to do, go over here to repeat, and oh no, I think we should be okay. So let's go over here and we're going to override match. Similarly, given a context. Now, again, kind of our typical thing that we're going to do here is have a private bool match greedily, a context, right? And for now, this just returns false, let's say. But just like with the other ones that we've done, this is effectively going to delegate matching, and resuming matching after a successful backtrack are going to delegate to this match greedily method. Okay, so let's talk about, we kind of need to write both of these at the same time. So what does it mean to even come in here and try and match this greedily? Well, the first thing that must happen, and I keep erasing it for no reason, is let's have our guy here. The first thing that must happen is that I must have 3 A's, right? And that's precisely what the base class does. So the first thing we can say is if it's not the case, base.match context, then we've failed, right? That means we couldn't even match. We had no chance of matching anything in addition, so we fail early. Now if that succeeds, then what I need to do is match greedily this context. Oh, and I'm missing something here. I need to match greedily, well, from the beginning. So that should be something we could just default. So int index equals 0. So if I match all 3 of these, I will then return whatever this turns out to be. Now, something that actually I should point out is that this is always going to return true. Because now that I've matched the minimum number, this is simply saying consume no more than 4 more, and try to take as many as you can, but if I can't do anything, then that's totally fine too. So, okay, so let's just iterate while we haven't matched yet. So, or while we're matching, sorry. So while the index that they passed in is less than max, and here is where it's very, very purposeful that I can go from 0 up to this max, which is really this the number of optional ones here. This is where this is really convenient. So while I am not capped out on the number that I should match, and the match item continues to match, well, match context, then index plus plus. That's all there is to it, right? In fact, I'll put it down there. Okay, so by the time this loop is over, either I've matched everything, or I've failed a match at one of my optional positions. And if that's the case, then this while loop breaks, this index is not incremented, and now I've matched some number of times. So the thing that's important to realize now is, let's say I matched a string like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I matched the first 3, and this is the required piece, and then I matched an additional 2, and that was optional. Now suppose my regular expression looked like that or something, right? And I matched it against a string that looked like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then I would match my 3, and then that would be that. I would match greedily the rest of the string. That would be those 2. Okay, and then that would have consumed this entire string, so then match item would fail because there's nothing left to do. But then I would move on to the next item in the expression, in the regular expression, and that would be this token for the character A, and that of course doesn't match because now I'm sitting here at the end of the line. So it's going to fail, and it's going to get backtracked into, and it's going to say, do you have an alternative? And I'm going to say, yeah, I actually took some optionally, so I could just try one of those guys differently and see if maybe that works, right? Or I can simply pop one of these guys off and say, oh, well, what if I just take that guy? How about that? And then I let it resume the match, and in that case, it's going to find it. So okay. So the point of that little discussion is that how many I've actually managed to match here optionally is something I need to keep track of, because if I get backtracked into, then I need to know where to start off, because I can't assume, I wouldn't know otherwise how many times I'd actually matched here, because those are optional. So what I need to do is take the context and push this index onto it, right? So that will keep track of how many times I got what I needed, right? Optionally. Okay, so I'm going to pause that here, and we'll do match next in the next video.